morning, everyone. I am your host, Joe Alvarez, and welcome to the other episode of Schoolhouse Debate. I am joined by my colleagues, Dr. Margaret Ibarra. She is an education professor at Texas A&M at San Antonio. Her main emphasis, and she has extensive studies with the cognitive view in education. We're going to go over extensively on what cognitive view in education is. Colleague to the left is Dr. Amanda Morales. She is the education professor at the University of Texas. Her extensive studies are on the behaviorist view in education. You guys are probably wondering, what in the world is that? Well, we're going to talk about that today. Okay, so our two shows, basically our show is going to focus a lot on a video that has been sparking media buzz. But we're going to first begin on what these views are. Dr. Morales, please explain what is your view?
Sure thing, Joe. Well, behavioral perspective is the main goal of the learning environment should be to achieve learning through organized associations. As a teacher, above all, reinforcement is essential to achieve learning, so knowing your student and what extrinsic motivations they need in order to succeed is crucial. So, in other words, the stimulus-response relationship between a teacher and a student is key. The goal of education should be to focus more on developing routine skills and obtaining quantitative records or grades to show that students are gaining the aptitudes necessary to be successful in life.
Dr. Bada, please explain to the audience, what is your expertise?
Hello, Joe. Thank you for introducing me. I am the cognitive perspective. In my perspective, the knowledge emphasizes more on the understanding of concepts and theories in different subject matters and general cognitive abilities such as reasoning, planning, solving problems, and comprehension. I believe that cognitive growth focuses more on the conceptual understanding of the child. We emphasize on the organization of the information and the cognitive structures and procedures with the use of information processing, generalization, strategies, and reasoning.
I can see how these views are can be clashing at times. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and begin. As you know, a lot of media buzz has been going online. It's a teacher that's from California. She's a math middle school teacher. This math middle school teacher name is Lee Alcala. She has sparked, again, a lot of media buzz on how she is revolutionizing grading strategy and particularly highlighting student mistakes. So she doesn't emphasize more the grades part. She wants to emphasize more on how they got to that particular answer. Okay, and her reasoning behind that is students are able to study and learn from their mistakes, and that's what learning is all about. Well, when I was a student, I like grades, so it comes both ways. So let's start with question number 1. Doctors, how does Ms. Sagala way of grading help or hurt learning principle number 7? Learning refers to both a process and a product. Let me backtrack a little bit if viewers do not understand what this is. Principle number 7 is based on a reading called What is Learning Anyway? And this particular reading, it was by Alexander and Reynolds, and basically they just do a list of principles on common sense approaches and a framework for what learning should be about. And these frameworks should be 9 principles listed. So, going back to principle number 7, learning refers to both a process and a product. Please explain. We'll start with Dr. Barra.
Thank you, Joe. Well, from my cognitive perspective, I find that she's helping her students by allowing them to process the information by actually going through the steps one by one. When the student reviews the answers with the highlighted mistakes, it gives the students the opportunity to see where their faults are. And most of the times it's a simple mistake, either a negative sign or a simple miscalculation. The strategy she uses also shows her students how normal it is to make a mistake and that they could adjust their answers and redo it. Also by allowing them to use their peers as help. Use their peers for help. Yes, and when they see a point of view of a peer, they get that extra knowledge that they might not have seen or they might not have had. With the proper reasoning and proper processing skills, the correct information the students will come up with will end with the results of the final product.
Got it. Okay. It does match up a lot with what you said earlier. Go ahead.
Unlike my opponent, my lens is regulated through actual evidence.
Got it.
So, yes,
the
process is important because from a behavioral standpoint, by enforcing the math problems as a consistent stimuli, she's enforcing the conditioning, she's conditioning the reflexes where the response to work on problem-solving skills is being strengthened. And they're more likely to achieve generality within math so that they can apply similar approaches to related problems. but without giving students their grade, in a way she's completely dissolving the product for them. Because without receiving that extrinsic motivator, which would be the grade that they received, determining whether they wouldn't be able to determine whether they achieved positive or negative incentives from that consequence, which enables students to adapt, which limits them from adapting to the learning environment.
In all fairness, she does give the grade the following day, just to make sure
But that's
everything in
not
perspective.
immediate.
Okay, absolutely.
Not immediate.
Your argument has to be immediate. Your argument, no,
Exactly.
it's
It's
a
a
flow.
process.
It's a process. It's a flow
Yes.
of how they internalize and adapt that information.
Yes.
But you want that immediate,
Immediate
external.
reinforcement.
Okay. Next question. In what ways is Ms. Alcala's follow-through credit method advantageous or disadvantageous with the behavioral and cognitive lenses? And to go over what follow-through credit is. What follow-through credit is, and she highlights it, is if students basically make one mistake, but after that first mistake on that particular problem, they keep on getting it correct based on that one mistake. So they basically got the process of that problem correct based on that one mistake. She takes credit for that. It's a good thing. At least kids understand the grasp of how to work out that problem. But she doesn't judge them just on that one first mistake. But if there's mistakes all over the place and it's not consistent, then of course the child does not have a grasping at all with that problem. Okay, so that's what basically follow-through credit is. So in what ways is Ms. Alcala's follow-through credit method advantageous and or disadvantageous with behavior and cognitive lens? We'll begin with you, Dr. Bott.
Okay, thank you. Well, I find that her method is advantageous due to the nature of the structure of obtaining the knowledge. By giving the students the credit for what they did do right, she is allowing the students the advantage of knowing that they are doing the problem correctly. And learning is understood as a constructive process. So just like construction, we have that foundation and we work on building our knowledge with the use of scaffolding strategies, using the prior knowledge, and we utilize these skills, and in the end, this knowledge they can end up using in everyday life. So our minds are going to be focused more on increasing that specific knowledge and seeing where that one little mistake is and correcting it.
Because it can be, in fact, that one small mistake
Yes.
that can just improve that whole problem.
Yes, in fact,
Right.
the correct answer.
Understood, Dr. Bott, thank you. Go ahead.
I agree that it is advantageous because she is focusing on developing the necessary skills that they need in order to succeed in math, and she's reducing the amount of errors that they will most likely have in the future, which is considered generality. Without, again, the extrinsic motivator, without that grade, without that immediate feedback, that immediate reinforcement, the kids are not able to adapt to that environment.
I see her point. I see your point. Personally, as a kid, I like the grade. Just saying.
Exactly.
But I do love your approach
Exactly.
as well. Okay. Well, it goes back and forth. We can go back and forth all day, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So I leave it to you, ladies and gentlemen. Which lens will benefit from Ms. Alcala's class? That is the question of the decade. Question of the century. Which one is better? Leave it up to you. I'm Joe Alvarez. We'll see you next time, guys.